They said she was gone forever. Her photos sat on milk cartons, bulletin boards, police walls, forgotten under layers of dust. But 12 years later, a woman walked into a police station and said 5 words that froze every officer in the room. "My name is Lily Parker." They thought she was dead. They were wrong. And when they heard where she'd been, they wished she still was. Springfield, Missouri, 2009. A quiet town. The kind of place where people still waved at neighbors and left porch lights on at night. Lily Parker, age 10, was last seen walking home from school. It was a Friday. She wore a pink jacket, carried a backpack full of stickers and crayons. She never made it home. Her mother, Margaret, called the school at 4:30 p.m. They said Lily had left at the usual time. By 6 o'clock, panic set in. By 9 o'clock, police were searching every block. They found her backpack the next morning, tossed near a drainage ditch 2 miles away. Inside, a torn math workbook, a half-eaten apple, and a small toy keychain shaped like a star. But no Lily. For weeks, Springfield turned itself inside out. Volunteers combed through forests, lakes, abandoned barns. Helicopters circled. TV trucks camped outside the Parkers' home. Her father, David Parker, begged on live television, "If anyone has her, please bring my little girl home." The country watched. But after 6 months, the cameras moved on. The leads dried up, and the police quietly closed the active search. One detective, Harlen Gage, refused. He kept a folder on his desk labeled Lily P. He told new recruits, "If she's out there, she'll come back when the world stops watching." He didn't know how right he was. November 2021. It was raining. The Springfield Police Department lobby was nearly empty when the woman walked in. She was thin, pale, her hair cropped short, uneven, like she'd cut it herself. She wore an oversized hoodie and carried nothing. She approached the front desk, voice trembling. "My name is Lily Parker. I was kidnapped when I was 10. At first, the officer didn't believe her. Then she recited her childhood address and the name of her elementary school teacher, Mrs. Collier. They ran a quick check. The missing file came up immediately. Case, hashtag 09-1427. Status cold. Presumed deceased. Within minutes, the station was filled with movement. Phones ringing, officers whispering. Detective Harlen Gage, now in his 60s, arrived within the hour. He hadn't heard that name in over a decade. He took one look at her and whispered, "My God, it's really her." Lily sat in a small gray room for hours. She didn't cry. She didn't shake. She just spoke, softly, evenly, like someone telling someone else's story. "I was walking home," she said. "A car stopped. A man asked if I wanted a ride. He said he knew my dad." She said she tried to run, but the car doors slammed behind her before she could scream. He had gloves. He smelled like gasoline. The next thing she remembered was waking up in a dark room. No windows, one locked door, and the sound of someone whistling on the other side. She said he kept her underground. Literally. A basement, she thought. But later, she learned it wasn't. It was a storm shelter built beneath an abandoned farm, 10 miles outside town. He called it the place. She called him the keeper. The man was in his late 40s. A drifter, a name she only knew as Mr. Ray. He told her the world had ended, that her parents were gone, that she was the only one left. He brought her food, old books, clothes that didn't fit. He made her read aloud every night. Stories from the Bible, fairy tales, anything he could find. And when she hesitated, he'd hum an old lullaby. Over time, she stopped counting the days. She said she forgot her own birthday by the 3rd year. Then, one night, he didn't come back. It was July 2021. She heard thunder and water dripping. The storm shelter was flooding. The door above was jammed shut. Lily climbed onto a shelf, waited until the water reached her knees. then used the pressure to force the latch open. She crawled out into the rain, barefoot, shaking, half-starved. The farm was overgrown. The main house had collapsed. She walked for hours until she reached a highway. A truck driver pulled over. She told him she'd been lost while hiking. It took her months to gather the courage to tell anyone who she really was. She'd seen her own missing photo online, aged up, distorted. She didn't recognize herself. But one night, she saw a news segment about cold cases. Her photo flashed on the screen, and something inside her broke open. She got on a bus and went home. Detective Gage and his team followed her directions. They found the abandoned farm exactly where she said it would be, on the outskirts of Miller County. What they found underground shocked even seasoned officers. A reinforced shelter, canned food dating back years, a narrow cot, children's books stacked neatly, and a wall covered in photos, dozens of them, every one of Lily, at different ages, different hair lengths, different clothes. He documented her entire life in captivity. In the corner of one picture, they spotted something, a reflection in the mirror. A man, tall, bearded, wearing a mechanic's jacket with the name Ray Coleman. Police traced the name to a small repair shop 30 miles away. The owner, Ray Coleman, had died 5 years earlier in a car accident. DNA from a hairbrush in his old apartment matched samples from the shelter. It was him, but that raised a terrifying question. If he'd been dead for 5 years, who'd been leaving food for Lily? The investigation found fingerprints belonging to another man. Thomas Reed, Ray's brother-in-law. When police arrested him, he confessed immediately. He said Ray had taken Lily years ago, and when Ray died, he couldn't let her die down there. So he'd been bringing her supplies, but never letting her go. He said Ray had made him promise to keep her safe. Safe. That word made every detective in the room sick. In interviews, Lily described the years after Ray's death. The silence, the isolation, the moments she thought she was losing her mind. Sometimes she'd talk to the shadows, pretend she was back in school, recite old lessons to the walls. When Thomas visited, he wouldn't speak. He'd just slide food through the door. One night, she said she tried to end it, but then she saw something scratched into the metal under the cot. Words carved by a child's hand. "Mama will find me." She didn't remember writing it, but she said it saved her life. When Margaret saw her daughter again, the world stopped. They met in a small hospital room. Reporters waiting outside. Lily whispered, "Hi, Mom," and Margaret collapsed into her arms. For 12 years, she'd kept Lily's bedroom untouched. The posters, the stuffed animals, the pink blanket folded at the foot of the bed. That night, Lily asked to sleep in it again. She said it felt like time never moved, just me. The trial for Thomas Reed began in 2022. He pleaded guilty to kidnapping, false imprisonment, and conspiracy. He claimed Ray did all the bad stuff, that he just followed orders. The judge didn't care. He sentenced him to life without parole. When asked if she wanted to speak, Lily stood before the court, voice shaking but steady. "You can cage a person," she said, "but you can't cage truth. And the truth always finds a way out." The courtroom went silent. Even the reporters stopped typing. Months after the trial, investigators kept searching the property. They discovered a second room hidden behind a shelter wall. Inside were more photos, not of Lily, but of other children. Each photo had a date scrawled on the back. Between 1998 and 2003. Those years were before Lily disappeared, meaning she wasn't the first. They reopened 6 missing child files from across the Midwest, all unsolved, all last seen near highways Ray Coleman drove for work. To this day, only 2 have been positively identified. The rest, still missing. Lily moved to another state under a new name. She rarely speaks publicly, but in her first interview, she said something chilling. "I don't dream about the shelter," she said. "I dream about the door. The way it sounded when it opened. That click, it still wakes me up." She said she can't stand the smell of rain because every storm reminds her of the night she crawled out. And sometimes she swears she hears humming. That same lullaby Ray used to whistle. Whenever she's alone, doctors call it trauma echo. She calls it memory. In 2023, Detective Gage received a package at the station. No return address. Inside, a folded note and a single toy keychain shaped like a star. The same one from Lily's backpack 12 years earlier. The note read, "She wasn't supposed to get away." Fingerprint analysis came back inconclusive, but the letter was typed on a typewriter. The same model used by Ray Coleman decades ago, meaning someone else, someone connected, was still out there. The case remains open. Today, Lily's story is taught in law enforcement seminars across the country, not as a tale of tragedy, but as a warning about forgotten victims. The Parker family started a foundation, the STAR Project. Its mission, to use technology to track missing child cases that go cold after a year. The logo? A single star keychain. The tagline? Because sometimes the light finds its own way out. 12 years in darkness. 12 years no one called her name. And yet, when the world stopped searching, she walked back into it. She said once in an interview, "The world didn't save me. It forgot me. But I didn't forget myself." And maybe that's what makes her story so haunting. Not just the horror, but the survival, the defiance, the quiet miracle of a little girl who grew up in the dark and still found her way to the light. This is Hidden Case Files, True Crime, where silence hides monsters, where truth takes years to surface, and where some stories, once heard, never leave you. Subscribe, because in every forgotten case file, there's a voice still waiting to be found.